Somewhere between the day you were born and the calendar in your kitchen, a flower was quietly assigned to you. Most people never learn what it is. Fewer learn why. Long before birthstones became a marketing gimmick, cultures across Europe were already linking each month to a flower, shaped later by Victorian flower language and standardized by florists into the list most of the world recognizes today. Some months carry more than one candidate flower, depending on which country or century you ask. What follows is the most widely used version, month by month, and the story hiding underneath each one. January. You'd expect the coldest month to get something hardy. Instead, January's flower is the carnation, a bloom tied to ceremony since Greek and Roman garlands, its name likely rooted in the Latin word for crown. Christian legend adds a darker note, claiming carnations first bloomed where the Virgin Mary's tears fell. By the Victorian era, meaning split by color alone, red for deep love, yellow, quietly, for rejection. January's flower carries ceremony and heartbreak in equal measure. February. Sometimes a flower attaches itself to a person so completely that history remembers them by it instead. That's what happened to Napoleon Bonaparte and February's violet. He wore one at his wedding. In exile, his supporters adopted it as a silent symbol of loyalty, nicknaming him for the flower itself. Its traditional meaning, modesty and faithfulness, makes that history almost too fitting for something this small and easy to overlook. March. Here's a twist for anyone born in March. Your flower, the daffodil, shares a genus with the flower closing this list in December, Narcissus, the same name behind the myth of a young man who fell in love with his own reflection. Folk superstition split its meaning down the middle. A single daffodil brought bad luck. A full bunch promised good fortune, new beginnings and a warning about vanity, wrapped into one late winter bloom. April. The daisy doesn't look like it's hiding anything, and that's the point. Its English name comes from the Old English day's eye, because its petals close at night and reopen at dawn like a clock tracking daylight. Children turned it into daisy chains and petal-counting games for generations, but its symbolism, genuine innocence and loyal love, was chosen precisely because the flower performs for no one. May. Not every flower here is harmless. Lily of the valley, delicate white bells on a single stem, has been given as a French good luck token every May Day since the 16th century, after King Charles IX reportedly received one and gifted it to his court every spring after. But every part of the plant is toxic enough to be dangerous, a detail almost none of the people carrying it down wedding aisles ever stop to consider. Sweetness and danger in the same stem. June. By June, we reach the flower every other month gets measured against. The rose has been cultivated for roughly 5,000 years, moving through Persian gardens and Roman banquets without ever losing its place as the default symbol of love. It earned that reputation the hard way, tangled up in empire and obsession long before it became anyone's birthday flower. July. Here, the list gets genuinely disputed, worth admitting up front. July is commonly given the water lily, though larkspur shows up just as often, and neither is universal. We're using water lily here, which clears up a common mix-up. Despite the resemblance, water lilies aren't lotuses. Different plant family entirely, even though both float on still water wrapped in the same old symbolism of purity and rebirth. August. Picture a flower named after a sword. The gladiolus takes its name from the Latin gladius, a nod to its tall, blade-shaped leaves. Folklore loosely ties it to Roman gladiators, worn for courage before combat, though historians treat that link as legend more than documented fact. What survived either way is the symbolism, strength of character, and a quiet integrity that needs no audience. September. The aster's name comes straight from the Greek word for star, and the shape of the bloom explains why. Mythology took it further, claiming asters sprang from stardust scattered by Astrea, a goddess who wept because she could no longer see enough stars from the ground. Wisdom and valor is the official meaning, but the myth underneath is really grief, turned into something beautiful. October. October's marigold means something almost entirely different depending on where you're standing. In Western flower language, it symbolizes warmth and passion. In Mexico, as cempasúchil, it plays a far bigger role. Laid in trails during Dia de los Muertos, its scent and color believed to guide the spirits of the dead home for one night each year. Same flower, two completely different emotional weights. November. Chrysanthemums split just as sharply along a different line. Across much of East Asia, it represents joy, longevity, and imperial power, appearing on Japan's own royal seal. In France and elsewhere in Europe, the same flower is reserved almost exclusively for graves, tied to All Saints' Day and funerals. Celebration on one side of the world, mourning on the other, barely any overlap between them. December, which brings us back to where March began. December's flower is Narcissus, most often the paper white, closing the same genus loop the daffodil opened 10 months earlier. In Greek myth, Narcissus was a young man so captivated by his own reflection that he wasted away staring at it, transformed into the flower bearing his name. Fitting that the year ends with a bloom capable of flowering indoors in the darkest month, named after someone who couldn't look away from himself. Tell us your birth month below, and subscribe to Flora Decoded for more flowers hiding more than you'd expect.